Why, hello. High five, listeners. Hi, Samantha.
Hello.
Hi, BD Wong. This is Perhaps It's You, an unofficial Unsolved Mysteries podcast. And my name is Liz.
My name is Samantha.
And we're here today to talk about, I don't know, Unsolved Mysteries, I guess.
Season
What do you
7,
think?
Episode 3. I think I'm really tired.
Uh-huh.
We're at Season 7 of the... I can't believe how long we've been
know.
doing this.
I
How much
know.
longer we have to keep doing this.
I mean,
I
we
don't know.
don't have to. We don't have to.
That's true.
If you want us to keep doing it, you better sign up for that Patreon because
Patreon.com/
perhaps it's you.
Perhaps
with,
it's you. I don't know how
with
it's
an
spelled.
extra T in there.
We
so
spelled it wrong.
Go to our website, perhapsitsyou.com, and that'll link you. Yeah. I have a couple updates for the top of the show. Do you have anything you wanted to share with our fine listeners?
If I do, I forgot. So no.
How's Alfie doing?
Alfie is good. Alfie got a manicure yesterday. Pedicure.
Oh.
He was not happy about it.
No, he wouldn't be, would he?
No. If you have equines, or if you're familiar with equines, they have to have their hooves trimmed every 6 weeks. And because we live in Minnesota and it's cold as fuck, he actually has gone a little long because the original date we had scheduled with the farrier, the hoof trimmer, it was like -30, and he was like, yeah, I'm not coming out. And we were like, good. So it's been a while since I would say he's been not handled, because I go out there every day, but you know, it's different.
Sure.
And so
yeah.
he just decided he's feral now, and he doesn't want anyone going near his feet. And little tiny donkeys are stronger than they look. So yeah, he is probably upset with me, but he's doing okay. We did successfully trim his hooves.
Well, that's all that matters. Quit being such a brat, Alfie. Get it together.
He's so cute, though. You kind of like, I don't know. You can't even be mad at him because he's so cute.
I'm aware of this issue. It's a certain dog that lives in my house named Leonard.
He just had a vet visit, right?
Yes, we have a vet that comes to your house, and the vet came the other day. The veterinary assistant. They came over to check on the pod dogs, Lenny and Curtis. They both got clean bills of health. But what we were told about Lenny is that his heart rate is like half what they would expect to see of a dog his size, because he's like so relaxed. And he was like, this is a very calm, confident dog. And I was like, yeah, no shit. Thinks he owns the place.
Considering he had a rough start in life, it's pretty impressive, and probably speaks highly of you guys that he is so happy and I don't know, anxious.
Just laying around, snoozing. Yeah.
Living his best life.
Pretty looking for that patch of sunlight.
What did he say about Curtis's heart rate?
Actually, Curtis's heart rate was also lower than he would expect. So even though Curtis is a nervous mess, he has that going for him, I guess.
All right.
He's scared of everything, but it's not impacting his heart. So
okay, well, good.
Yeah, you know. And they may barge in here any old second to ruin everything. So keep your ears open for that. I have a couple announcements or updates before we get started. One is that I filled in for Mike on the Uncovering Unexplained Mysteries podcast. So if you're not sick of my voice, which it might be 5 of you, I don't know, you can hear even more of it on that podcast. It's me and Josh talking on episode... That was episode for them 242.
Wow.
So
see, we don't number our episodes like that. So I don't know how many episodes we've had.
I don't think we're at 242.
We're definitely not.
But we discussed the murderer John Addis, and because I got to pick my topic, the magic rock. Nice. Can you tell I got to pick my topic?
Had they talked about the magic rock segment before in their podcast?
Apparently, they had done it for Patreon.
Oh, okay. So this is a real treat for their listeners.
So I brought it to the mainstream audience by just saying, well, I originally wanted to talk about the Minnesota Iceman, but they had covered that one. But then I was like, oh, obviously, Magic Rocket is. I don't want to talk about something where people die. I'm so the Purple Stuff, which is my favorite podcast, they did last year an Unsolved Mysteries episode, but they only picked segments where like everyone was fine to talk about.
Okay.
And watching the mysteries for today, I was just so envious. I was like, oh,
Today's mysteries are rough.
They're brutal. And I was one of those. Why do we do this? Don't know. And so I was just like, man, I wish I was the Purple Stuff. Why'd I make my podcast exclusively about unsolved mysteries? Now I really do have to talk about these things. Wow. Bad choice. But yeah, make sure to listen to the Uncovering Unexplained Mysteries episode. That was a lot of fun to talk about the magic rock yet again. The other very important update is that we've finally sold out. I know people that have been with us since the beginning have been waiting for this day because I really wanted those fucking Casper mattresses.
I think our first episode, we demanded Casper mattresses.
Before we even talked about anything else, I was like, I'm here for mattresses. Well, that's apparently not enough. That doesn't get you mattresses. But we are going to be working with the app Repod, which is a new podcasting app that is like coming out like right now. Like if you're listening to this, I think then it'll be officially launched. And its deal is that you can play podcasts, but you can also like talk about podcasts. Mm-hmm. So it's a good way. I feel like you want to recommend podcasts to other people. If you want to like talk about specific episodes, it's going to be really great for that. So
I think you can interact with us, right? Like we have a space in the app and you can join and interact with us. Kind of like a Facebook group sort of, but you don't have to have Facebook, which is nice.
Yeah. It has a like that kind of group function to it. So it'll be kind of cool to try out. I have gone in and claimed our podcast. So if people want to interact with us there, particularly if you don't have Facebook, then that's another way.
So how can they find us on the app? They just download Repod, right?
It's Repod. It's free. You can get it in the, Play Store or whatever. And then, just search for Perhaps It's You on there.
Nice.
Look for our beautiful logo and you can be just, shower us in praise.
Oh, of course.
This is the best episode I ever heard. How can you be so beautiful and so witty? Stuff like that, I think would be really appropriate banter under our podcast.
We use the Facebook group to solicit feedback, a lot of times. Like, I feel like this might be a good way to connect if we have, like, I don't know if we need some suggestions or...
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we'll do polls about, like, merch or ideas for specials or stuff like that. And it's good to get some feedback from the 5. Yeah. But, obviously, Facebook is kind of a barren wasteland now. I'm not even sure I would still have it if it was not for the podcast. So this will be cool to see how this develops and whatever. So,
yeah, check it out.
We finally sold out. Thanks, Repod. Thank you. Today's the day. Praise be. Okay. So we are talking about season 7, episode 3 today, which you can watch on YouTube or Tubi or preferably not on Amazon, but it's there too. Hard to believe we don't get more sponsors. Maybe Amazon should pay me just to stop saying that every episode. Find out, Amazon. Find out how much that costs. How much does it cost to get me to stop referring to Amazon as our evil overlords? I don't know. Throw out a number. Let's find out.
Let's start that conversation.
Yeah. Have your people call me because I have no people. So let's negotiate. I bet it's not that much, but I'm not going to sell out in advance. So where's my mattresses? Where are they? Because we started this so long ago. You were still building the house.
Yeah, that's why I needed a mattress.
You were like, I need a mattress. I'm building a house.
Because that was so long ago. What do we need now?
And gone.
I feel like I haven't heard a Casper mattress ad. Is it just because I don't listen to enough podcasts? Are they still a thing?
I don't even
know. Is it
MeUndies
now, or is that also kind of?
I don't know. I'll take some undies. Whatever.
Yeah, I'll take some underwear money.
I'm not aware of anything explicitly evil about them. I'll take it. Amazon can fuck off, but I'll take some undies. I'm not aware that MeUndies tells people to like drive directly into tornadoes and keep doing, just keep delivering packages. So maybe they
We don't
do.
know that they don't, but
If
I
they
haven't
do,
heard that story.
MeUndies, knock that off. That's bad. You are the okay, whatever. Wow, I'm just gonna start talking about our first segment. How about that?
All right,
How's
let's
that
do
for
it.
a novel idea?
Is this first segment the unexplained?
Oh no, it's a rare, elusive type of segment known as SciMed.
Oh, that's right. Okay, SciMed, yes. How many times? Okay, I'm not gonna complain. I think this segment is decent, but how many times have we had this topic repackaged to us in different ways?
I think people just like it, and it's easy and cheap. And I like it too. I like this segment.
It was good. I just kind of think Unsolved Mysteries needs some new material. Maybe we've done this
Wow.
before several times.
We have totally done this before, and they do kind of allude to that at the beginning, and they were like, we've done this, but we wanted to look into it deeper. And you're like, you mean just do it again?
It's not really a deeper look, but yeah.
But I mean, no cars have to explode. No churches have to explode. I feel
You're
like this
right.
is a
This
pretty
is low
cheap
budget
segment. And also, it's like kind of heartwarming. It's not, a bus full of orphans fell into a volcano and no one knows what happened to their charred remains, which is how I felt about some of the rest of these segments. It's like, yeah, what happened to the 12 children that were possibly devoured by vultures? Let's find out. No, in this SciMed segment, this is what we're talking about. Here's a Robert Stack quote for you. Imagine meeting your child or a sibling, in reality a complete stranger, after years of wondering what he or she is like. We have learned that in many cases, reunited family members have a surprising amount in common, more than can be explained by genetics or simple coincidence. We decided to take a closer look at this mysterious connection, this bond that seems to defy scientific explanation. And Samantha goes, this is not a closer look. You just did it again. You're just rehashing old material.
I don't know.
You know what?
Two people having the same glass hummingbird in their window?
Okay,
is that a deeper look?
It's not even the same. Let's get to that one. So this is the story of Don Larkin, who grew up knowing that he was adopted, but he was 44 years old before he located his birth mother, Betty Landers. And we see a reenactment of him walking up to her house because even before they like officially met, he knew they had stuff in common. How? As Samantha alluded to, he saw a stained glass hummingbird and a crystal prism hanging in her window as he approached her house, and he was like, "Oh, I also have those things." And they show a picture of his window, except they are not the same. He has like a different. It's not a glass hummingbird. It's like a thing you stick in a plant, and he has like a different crystal. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I don't remember exactly what year this was, early 90s. You go find me an old lady who, like in 1992, did not have a stained glass hummingbird and a prism in her window. I think both of my grandmothers did. I'm not impressed.
That's because they had a secret psychic connection.
Oh my God.
That defies the bounds of space and time.
I'll
have you know they had a professor. They brought this question to a professor. This is serious.
I actually left that out, but yes, they did.
They wasted some guy's time.
Yeah, no, he loved every second. Are you kidding?
He did get to be on TV.
This was the highlight of his life, and he brings it up at every dinner party. Yeah, we don't even get to hear more about this connection. Like, is there anything else these people have in common? We just hear about their window. And I wrote that he's so impressed that his biological mother would also have a stained glass hummingbird and a glass prism that I wrote, Don doesn't get out much. I feel like these were very common items at the time.
I think that was the only
it would be like if you were like, I went to their house and it was also gray and it had a lot of shiplap and a sign that said live, laugh, love. It was like we had this psychic and you're just like, no, that's everywhere. That's everywhere. That's not special.
Liz, you'll never believe this, but I have a front door. And you have a front door.
What?
I know. We
We
we actually
meant
had
to
this
be
front
friends.
door, before we were friends. This means that we were destined to be best friends.
It's so true. Oh my god. I just really moved right now.
We need to
It
find
is
a scientist to see if they can explain this.
yeah, they both lived in structures. They both wore shoes on their feet. There were so many coincidences. They both knew how to drive cars. They had both eaten pasta at one time or another.
Whoa.
It's clearly a psychic connection. Okay, we hear nothing more about those people, which I find hilarious. Like, that's it. That's all you get. Now we move on to Lori Smith, who was an only child in her household with her adopted parents. But even at 4 years old, she suspected that she had a sister out there somewhere. She was actually so insistent about this that she got in trouble at school. She would like get into arguments with people saying like, "No, I have a sister," and then being like, "What are you talking about? No, you don't. I have a sister." However, she did really have a sister. Her sister, with the same name as her, Lori Stifler, was living in Alaska. Both of them had horses. They both played the flute and the guitar, and they both learned sign language. So kind of cool. I bet they're great pen pals.
Sure.
Again, that's all you get. That is a much bigger coincidence than the hummingbird. We're kind of like moving up in levels of coincidence as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
So Samantha is so not impressed. Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. That was Samantha being like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, I'm really impressed that they both liked horses. A thing that, like,
Two horse girls found each other. It's beautiful.
imagine that.
They were both named Lori.
Okay.
Kind of common name at the time. They were both named Lori. They both played the flute.
Did they
Something
name
girls don't
themselves
usually-
Lori? I don't. That's not evidence that they have a psychic connection.
Look, they had a lot in common.
They didn't choose the name Lori for themselves.
Wow. Okay. Let's move
Sorry,
on.
I'm sorry. I'll try and be more impressed.
Yeah, you're such a hater, Samantha. Now we're talking about Elizabeth Bersinetti, who grew up with her adopted family in Southern California. She was a lifelong Francophile and loved learning languages. She really had this idea of her like studying in Paris and going to the Sorbonne and just being like real pretentious. And in 1990, she went on to marry a man she met while traveling in Italy. After that, she began to have a series of shadowy dreams in which a woman she believed to be her birth mother was told she had cancer and wouldn't have long to live. Then one night after this dream, she woke up crying with the belief that her mother was dead. Elizabeth went to the adoption agency to request a reunion, only to learn that her mother had already requested one and that her mother was French Canadian. Which I have to say is not the same as being French, but whatever. She called only to find out that her mother had passed away. And when she knew this, she was able to guess the specific date based on the dream that she woke up crying. Okay. So she flew to Canada to meet her half sister, Sophie. And while she's there visiting with Sophie's family, she drew a house with some children. And everybody was like, "Why did you draw this weird house?"
Which in the reenactment is just a square.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a square.
I'd never been in this house before, but I knew what it looked like, and it's literally a square with like a triangle on top.
Also, she was like, and the garage was on the wrong side. And I was like, "Of what? It can be on either side." You're like, "What are you talking about, lady?" But I guess it's not the way she would normally draw a house. She drew this house, and then everybody was like, "Why'd you draw this house? That's exactly like the house Sophie and your mom grew up in." Okay. Because she knew that. And so it turned out her mom was French Canadian, but she had like studied in Paris, and she had done all those things that Elizabeth had wanted to do. And upon leaving, a family member wanted Elizabeth to have her mother's favorite book, which was a book by a German poet. And as it turns out, that was one of Elizabeth's favorite books, and she actually had brought that with her on the trip, which is a pretty uncanny coincidence. Mm-hmm. Were you impressed by that one, Samantha?
I was impressed by it, but also it was so sad.
It is really sad.
She submitted a request to the adoption agency to like know who her birth mother was, and her birth mother submitted a request to like be reunited, like very close together, but for some reason that like neither request either got processed, and so
Okay.
they just continued on their lives for years, not knowing that the other one wanted to see them and could have. Like the
Yeah.
adoption agency had both of their informations and could have connected them, and then she ended up dead, and before they could actually reunite. It was so sad.
So what happened was in 1985, Elizabeth contacted the adoption agency to see what needed to happen to have a reunion, and she had to get the permission from her adoptive mother. And she was like, "Oh, I don't want to hurt my adopted mother's feelings. I'm not going to go through with it." And it turned out that her biological mother had submitted a request like days after that
Yeah.
that she was unaware of. So if they could have connected at a time in 85, but she ends up not she doesn't decide to ask for her adoptive mother's permission until 5 years later in 1990. And then when she does it, it's like just too late. Like
It's
she's
barely
just died.
too late. It's so
Yeah.
sad. What I was also impressed by with this one is that it really seemed like her and her birth mother were so much alike.
They look very
They
similar, which of course they do look like, I mean, obviously, but they look basically exactly the same.
think they both had this interest in France and French culture. They both pursued like the same interests, which were like, I mean, I think pretty niche. They just seem like she said that it seems like she and her mom live parallel lives, and you can really see that. Like it goes beyond them just having a family resemblance. Like it seems like this is just like a feeling I get, but it seems like they're very similar in like a deeper level. So this one was more convincing to me, honestly, than the hummingbird in the window.
Well, yes. There's a reason why they started with the hummingbird and led up to this one. It seems like the family was very impressed when they met her. That it was like, oh, you guys have so much in common and you would have really gotten along. And I hope that makes her feel like she shares something with her mother, even though she never had the chance to meet her while she was alive. And that's like kind of a bond, is that the stuff that she's interested in, her mom would be, but it is really sad.
Yeah.
But it sounds like she had a good life with her adoptive parents, and I don't know. Anyway, I liked it because we get a dream story in there, and I'm a sucker for that. And it's kind of a psychic dream.
I believe that this was a psychic dream. I mean, that's honestly too much of a coincidence.
She literally, like, she calls her mom's house. Someone else picks up and is like, oh, I'm so sorry to have to tell you this. I don't know how you knew her, but she just passed away. And she was like, oh, was it on the 28th or whatever date? She had woken up from that dream crying. And the person was like, yeah, how did you know? That's weird.
That's eerie. Yeah.
It's very eerie. So I enjoyed this segment. You're right. We've totally talked about it before. But you know what? If they want to do it again next season, I'm up for it. Sure.
I mean, we've done different versions of it. We did twins. I think we've done another sibling one.
Wait,
this
what
one
was
is
the twins were an example of nature's whimsy.
Yes.
If anyone remembers
nature's whimsy
phrase. So good.
So good.
This is nature's whimsy part 2.
Yes.
You're the family member you've been separated from is actually might be a lot like you. I mean, I think you could say like, oh, she's related to her mother and like their brain is good at languages or whatever, but it does seem like very specific that it's like, oh no, we both like this one book by this German poet. In fact, I brought it with this trip with me.
Yeah.
That's very specific. Anyway, okay, so that was cool, but yeah, we have done it before. Now Samantha is going to talk about a very sad, very weird wanted.
Yes, this is a wanted. And we are asked, did convicted murderer Adam Emery jump to a watery grave?
I honestly don't know what to think about this.
This is weird. This whole story is wild. So we are told that the Newport Bridge stands a majestic 219 feet above the, oh God, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Narragansett Bay in Rhode Island. It's a big ass bridge. I don't know.
Look, people are so much more impressed by bridges than I am. Am I just really taking that? Like, people are like, what a feat of engineering. And I'm like, I got, like, sure, but I've seen a bridge. Is that... Is that really bitchy of me? It's like, oh, it's so majestic. And you're like, it's a bridge. It's just a way to get from one side of the river to the other. It's
I
really
mean, this is
okay.
a really tall bridge, so I mean, it is kind of
All
cool how
right.
they could
All
like put
right.
something like that together. I don't know that I would stand in awe of this bridge, but if I was near it, I'd be like, oh, it's a tall bridge. It's cool.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm married to a man who would watch.
You're right. He
would
loves a feat of engineering.
Yes, modern
He loves that
marvels.
phrase. Yeah.
Every Nova about digging a tunnel, he wants to watch every single one. Probably has watched every single one, and I find it so boring. So I am on your side.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't get that feeling of awe that clearly Robert Stack is feeling as he's talking about this bridge, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I saw the Hoover Dam and was kind of just like, yeah, that's a big dam. Who cares? Not me.
It takes a lot to impress Liz.
It really doesn't. It's just not that.
So on the evening of November 10th, 1993, the bridge was the scene of a sobering discovery, which Robert Stack tells us is the latest twist in one of the state's most sensational murder cases.
It's wild.
So we're told that shortly before 7 p.m., a bridge supervisor and a state trooper. This bridge has a supervisor. I don't understand what that job is. It's not like a bridge that goes up and down, I don't think.
Maybe just for like repairs and shit. I don't know. Probably more bridges need supervisors.
That's probably true. Actually,
I have no idea. As we've stated, I have very little.
Is he
interest
supervising
in
the bridge, or is he? I assume you're supervising like the people. I don't know. He's doing a bad job though, but because these people maybe jumped off of it.
Well, he's a supervisor. He watched them jump off, but he didn't stop them. That's not his job.
You're right. So the bridge supervisor and the state trooper investigated an empty car that was blocking one of the westbound lanes. The engine was running and the headlights were on. In the back seat were several articles of clothing which were neatly folded. In the front, there was cash, cut up credit cards, and a driver's license. So the bridge supervisor's name was Robert Moorhead. And he thought that it was just an abandoned car at first, but
is that a thing people do? Just leave running cars with cash in them on the bridge?
You know what?
You're right. This guy, look, I don't know him. He does not seem good at his job.
I don't think he was, because it seems like if he had been supervising, he would have seen the people who left the car. But you know what? It's a big bridge. He was on the other side. So upon
also,
further,
the man has to eat lunch. Take a smoke
middle
break.
of the night.
Well, fine, whatever his meal break.
Okay,
is.
shortly before 7. Maybe he was eating dinner. Yeah, or a smoke break. You're right.
He takes a 15-minute smoke break every hour. So if things go wrong in the bridge, they really have to go wrong in those other 45 minutes.
Wow, these people really timed this well. So
why is it funny to me just make up what this guy's job is? Because I don't get it.
I truly don't get it either. I don't know why a bridge needs a supervisor.
All right, I'm going to look it up. You keep talking.
Okay. So when him and the police officer investigated, they knew right away that it was the Emery's car. These were fugitives on the run. Everybody was looking for the car, so it seems like they had found it. So Robert Sachs tells us that anyone in Rhode Island would have recognized the name Emery. That very day, Adam Emery, the car's owner, had been convicted of murder. Though he was free on bail, Emery faced 20 years to life in the state penitentiary. Now it appeared that Adam and his wife Elena had found a way out of their impending separation by jumping to their deaths off the Newport Bridge. The apparent double suicide of Adam and Elena was shocking news, but soon authorities began to suspect that the Emerys were in fact alive. They believed the abandoned car was just the final touch in a well-planned escape to freedom. So, wait, first, did you find what a
yes.
bridge supervisor is?
Yes.
Before we go back in time?
This position performs the inspection of bridges and supervises the construction, maintenance, repairs, and renewal of bridges.
Okay. So it's not his job to look for abandoned cars.
No.
Maybe we should cut him some slack. He's not literally just standing on the bridge supervising the bridge.
Going, yep, it's a bridge. And then taking another puff of his cigarette. You know how they have those checklist sheets in like fast food restrooms, like who's cleaned this bathroom every hour, right? And it's just like, is it still a bridge? And he just checks it. Is it a bridge? Yep.
Takes another puff.
Yeah, he's a busy man.
It's just a funny name. I feel like it should be like bridge maintenance supervisor or something. It really sounds like he's just supervising the bridge.
Well, I'm guessing for most it's like more than one bridge, but maybe this town only has one. So
I mean, Rhode Island is a small place. I don't know how many bridges there are.
I have no idea. Sorry to Rhode Island.
So now that we know what a bridge supervisor is, thank you for that. We rewind the clock back to August 30th, 1990. This was 3 years ago, from the time that the Emerys their car was discovered. Adam Emery, his wife Elena, and another couple were stopped for dinner at a local seafood stand, the Clam Shack or whatever that one guy called it.
That sounds delicious.
The Clam Stand. I have no idea who called it. I have no idea who called it the Clam Stand, but
all right, it sounds a little bit dirty, but also delicious. I would like to go.
So they're at the Clam Stand. It was just before 9 p.m. when a car whizzed by and sideswiped Adam's car. It sped away and disappeared around a corner. This enraged the people in the car to such an extent that they started screaming that Adam should floor it and like chase down this car.
This is such... Okay, look, I'm here in Minnesota. I'm going to say this seems like extremely East Coast behavior to me that I cannot relate to.
What are you absolutely cannot.
What are you gonna do when you catch the car? What's the plan here?
We'll find out what Adam's plan is. It's not good. Also, I'm at a Clam Stand. I just want to enjoy my dinner. Like, let it go.
Your car is busted either way. Like, if you go bust some kneecaps, your car is still busted. Like,
yeah, and then you're just going to prison.
Yeah, enjoy your lobster roll or whatever the hell it is.
If I'm in the back seat of my friend's car and he wants to go,
get him, Samantha.
He wants to go aggro and chase some guy down. I mean, let me out. You go do what you want, but I'm gonna enjoy my fucking crab cake, and you can go do what you want. I am not spending. It's 9 p.m. I'm not chasing someone down. Yeah, I don't know. This is not Minnesota behavior.
It's not very neighborly.
It is not. So this is. So they're not like us, and they decide to chase down this.
But also, all four of them are like completely on board with this.
They were.
It's not like the driver is like, I gotta get that bastard. They're all like, revenge now.
Look at I don't know. For some reason they're eating friends. Lobster and thirsty for some, I don't know, Fast and Furious style action.
Look, they're friends for a reason. And that reason is that they go from 0 to murderously angry in seconds.
They literally, go from eating some clam chowder to I'm gonna stab someone directly in the heart. All right. I cannot relate. So the car they were chasing. Oh, it took. Okay. Also, the reenactment is hilarious because this guy like can't get out of this parallel parking spot. He has to like. You know where you have to like back it up several times.
It's very kinda, like, tight. Yeah,
you have to inch out. I don't know if this is how it actually was, but it did take them some time to like get going. And at that point, the car had sped away. So they saw a car in the distance, and Elena started like goading Adam, and she was saying, that's the car, get him. And so they
and do what, bitch? And do what? Get shot in the face. Like,
I mean, this is not going to end well. I don't know what their plan was. So they started chasing this car, which was driven by 20-year-old Jason Bass. His cousin was also in the car. His name was Joshua. I think they may have also had another friend in there with them. they chase him down. At some point, they stop their car. There is a wild chase scene that happens in this reenactment where the car driven by Adam and Elena and their friends are like weaving in and out of traffic, and then poor Jason and his cousin and his friend are like, what the fuck is going on with this dude? And they do end up pulling over, and Joshua, the cousin, describes Adam is getting out of his car yelling, quote, "We'll kick your butt, I'm gonna kill you," which he describes as major fighting words.
I'm guessing that's not what he said word for word.
I'll kick your butt.
Yeah.
I think Joshua may have cleaned it up for national TV, I'm guessing, but it is kind of hilarious. I'll kick your butt, I'll kill you.
Also, we don't have a legal concept of fighting words in this country. And to my knowledge, in the UK, like, there are certain things that if people say to you and you punch them in the face, you can be like, well, yeah, but he called my mother a slag or whatever. And then they'll be like, oh, those are fighting words. That makes sense. We don't have that. So it doesn't matter if the guy was like, I'm going to kick your ass. Legally, you don't get to just punch him in the face or stab him in the heart. That's not a thing.
Well, it was Adam that was yelling this. He was yelling the fighting words.
Okay.
I think Jason, Joshua, and their friend were just very confused.
They were like,
they're
what
just minding their own business,
is going on?
driving down the street at 9 p.m. and this guy just in an absolute rage just comes after them. So it was at that moment that Adam pulled out a knife and jumped. So they're about to try and drive away because they're like, look, this guy is insane. And at that point, he pulls out a knife, jumps on the hood of Jason's car. Jason floors it and starts driving away. And while clinging to the car, Adam begins to slash through the open window at Jason with the knife.
Why?
I don't know, but Jason stops the car. Adam jumps off. At this point, a crowd has gathered.
Well, yes. If I saw that happening, I would stop in my tracks. Are you kidding?
So a crowd has gathered. Poor Jason opens the car door, stumbles out, and dies because he had been stabbed through the heart. Directly through the heart. This dude jumped on his car. He's trying to drive away. He stabs him through the heart.
I feel like that would be hard to do.
I think it would be very hard to do. I guess not for Adam, but for me, it would be very hard to do.
If you're completely full of rage and hush puppies, then it's easy, but I don't know. That doesn't seem easy to do, to stab someone right through the heart.
What is it about cars and driving that sends people into such a rage?
These stories really scare me because I'm convinced that despite driving like a Minnesotan old lady and being like, oh no, oh you go, oh, which is how everyone drives here, by the way. I recently heard that people in Fargo think that everybody in the Twin Cities drives crazy, and nothing is funnier to me.
No.
That's a very, very specific joke, but it's because I really feel like everybody's like, oh no, you. Like,
as a whole, Minnesotans drive really slow. There are the outliers where you'll see someone, but when you see that crazy person like weaving in and out of traffic, I feel like everybody else on the road is like, wow, what's your hurry?
But these stories really scare me that somehow, despite driving like an old lady, that someone is going to get super mad at me, possibly not for anything that I did. And yeah, I'll end up stabbed through the heart or shot or like run off the road or something. It's terrifying.
I do not get it. I don't get what about driving throws people into such violent rages.
I think it's probably a few things. Like, I think there's a lot of, unchecked mental illness, but just to like where we're not giving people support that they need at all. Sure. But I also think driving stresses people out more than they admit, and it comes out in these like weird ways.
You're right.
That's just a theory.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about. I mean, I know it stresses me out, which I just respond to that by driving slower generally, but I suppose some dudes like this might have an opposite reaction.
People that don't have like a healthy relationship with their emotions to begin with, I think it comes out in like these very aggressive, very unnecessarily and unhelpfully aggressive ways. Like, oh, I'll just grab onto the side of this moving vehicle and stab someone through the heart.
Jump on the hood of a car that's
Why?
trying to drive away.
Why?
Yeah,
It's
isn't that
wild.
great? So, like I said, there like a small crowd had gathered. In the crowd was Kevin Hopkins, an off-duty detective for the Rhode Island State Police. He says when he arrived, the whole air about the scene was very spooky. He said it had a haze and it was a warm summer night and it just had a spooky, eerie feeling about what he was getting into. He pulled up thinking that it was just a motor vehicle incident, and suddenly,
what a poetic cop. Really setting the scene, setting the mood.
I get the feeling that this was like a hot night. Like, like, I don't know. I feel like people are on edge when it's like hot
that's true too. Yeah,
sticky. And he pulls up thinking it's just like a car accident and someone's stabbed through the heart, and this dude is like milling around. I don't know. That would be. I mean, honestly, it's kind of sounds spooky. So the tragedy of Jason's death was compounded by the facts that soon emerged. According to Detective Hopkins, Jason never so much as touched Adam Emery's car. So they did paint chip analysis on the damage to Adam's car, and it was
not the right car.
It's not the right car.
They chased down too long to get out of the spot. And the girlfriend saw a similar car and was like, that's the car. It's not the same car.
It's not the same car. No. So that's great. Not that it would have been better if he had stabbed the person driving the car. There are different ways to resolve this situation. But yeah,
but imagine his confusion though. Just of like, what the fuck is happening?
This crazy dude is
you
jumping
also think
on the
that
hood
maybe
of my car.
They could have looked at the car and been like, oh, that car's doesn't have a scratch on it. It's probably not them.
I'm not sure they were thinking clearly, but
clearly not. I don't know why. I don't think they had invented angel dust yet, or bath salts. They had angel dust. I'm not sure bath salts was a thing yet. These people sound like they're on bath salts. Honestly, I cannot explain this behavior at all.
No. It's bizarre.
Did 4 people have roid rage at the exact same time? While eating
what was in that clam chowder?
What was in the popcorn shrimp? Someone go investigate the clam shack.
Someone needs to look into it because this is not normal. So Robert Sachs says those who knew Adam were stunned by the turn of events. He had apparently never been in trouble with the law. I think that's just because he's like a white dude. I don't know. Now Adam Emery stood accused of second-degree murder. So we hear from a reporter who says that when he testified, he was very rigid. He never expressed any remorse for killing someone. He just said in a flat affect that he stabbed him in self-defense. You think he would show remorse, especially if you stabbed the wrong person?
It's a total fucking stranger who did nothing to you, and his defense was like, well, I had to do something. It was basically like, my friends were gonna call me a chicken. I had to commit murder.
He called it self-defense, but Jason was trying to get away. He was in his car trying to back up. So that doesn't really hold up. So,
Your Honor, I was double dog dared to commit that murder. I had no choice.
Well, acquitted. So
yeah, he's like, well, fair enough. I don't want you to look like a pussy in front of your friends. That was his self-defense, basically. Like,
I mean, it kind of was.
I had no choice. Like, according to what? Like, according to what rules did you have no choice?
You had several other choices.
You had
actually.
In fact, this was not an option, and yet you still did it.
No one had a gun to your head telling you to stab that random guy through the heart. You could have just sat there and finished your clam chowder.
He was hanging onto the side of a moving vehicle in order to commit murder. It seems like you could not do that.
I mean, do you not have insurance on your car? Like, they didn't total your car. Just sit there and finish your clams. Enjoy your evening. That would have been a choice you could have made.
Sit there and finish your clams. Yes, that is always an option. Clam chowder is always an option. If murder, not so much.
If those are the options, chase this guy down and stab him through the heart, or sit there and finish your clam chowder.
I mean, I feel like I would not go chasing someone down. like this because I would be afraid they would murder me. But in this case, this guy was doing it to commit murder.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I cannot relate. So the trial ended on November.
Samantha stabbed very few people straight through the heart. She stabbed me in the arm once, but it was not the heart. So
that was self-defense, though. I had no choice.
You asked for an ice cream sandwich, and I said we were out.
Justifiable.
You flew into.
I think everyone will agree.
You were really backed into a corner to chase me down the street.
That's what anyone would do.
You're so right. Well, to make matters worse, I ate the last one, so.
Exactly. Exactly. You're lucky I didn't stab you through the heart.
But you missed. I got my arm. I got my
arm
in the way of my heart, so you just stabbed me in the arm.
I don't know where the human heart is.
Is it in the arm?
I got close.
Yeah.
So the trial ended on November 10th.
You're not a doctor.
No. Well, you can expect me to know where the heart is.
Yes. Okay. The trial.
Not surprisingly, Adam Emery was found guilty of second-degree murder. Now, inexplicably, the judge decided he could remain free on bail pending formal sentencing, which was to happen a month later. So basically, this guy who was facing 20 years in prison was given a month to just like wander around free, aka just like plan your escape. I mean, I don't know what else you would do.
Samantha, he had to get his affairs in order. I don't know if you know this, but before white people go to prison, we have to get our affairs in order.
Right. You would expect to forfeit that right when you stab someone through the heart, but
people that don't benefit from white supremacy, they're never given that time. I guess they don't have affairs to get in order, but when white people commit murder, they have to they have to figure out who's gonna handle the laundry and walk their dog.
Oh my god. Yeah, if you're not white, you sit in jail denied bail for I don't know, allegedly stealing a pencil or something.
Yeah, exactly.
While you wait 2 years for your trial. This guy is convicted of stabbing someone through the heart, and he gets a month to go plan his escape.
Yeah.
So that is cool. Our justice system works great. By nightfall that evening, both Adam and Elena were dead, or so it seemed. After police found the car, I'm
kind of impressed with Elena being so ride or die. She literally saw this guy murder someone. I kind of at her provoking a little bit, and she's still with him.
Not only is she still with him, but she's apparently willing to jump off a bridge for him. If they can't be together in life, I guess they'll...
Elena, move on.
Yeah, this is not romantic, Elena.
Someone else can take you to the clam shack. It doesn't need to be this guy.
So
I assume there's other guys in Rhode Island.
I assume so. And they probably like clams.
I mean, some of them.
Yeah. Or just go by yourself. I don't know. You're probably better off. Okay, so he's convicted that morning. He gets to walk away, still a free man, while he waits sentencing. And that evening is when they found the car on the bridge. So they left the courthouse around 3 p.m. Elena and Adam. A half hour later, the Emerys showed up at a local sporting goods store. Joel Smith, the store's manager, was working that day. Did you give this guy's mustache a name? I am dying to hear.
Oh my god, I didn't.
Okay, this guy has the tallest mustache I've ever seen. I don't know if he has a real big space between his nose and upper lip, but it's like two mustaches stacked on top of each other.
Huh, what should we call it then?
The double decker?
I think we've done that before. I'm going with double slender man.
All right, I'm into it. It was kind of thin. It was just so tall. I don't understand. It's like a square almost. It's tall, almost as tall as it is wide.
I don't like that at all.
I didn't like it, but So Joel Smith works at the sporting goods store. He said that she didn't seem nervous. She was smiling and talkative. It didn't seem like there was anything on her mind or anything that she had planned. So
She didn't mention that she was about to commit love pack suicide.
she didn't. So
Which I often do when I'm at a sporting goods store, but then I remember that I can leave the sporting goods store and the urge to kill myself leaves instantly.
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah. Where
So
it's like, Liz, just walk out of the sports authority. You don't have to be here. And then I'm like, oh, the will to live is back. Great.
I often, if I find myself at a sports authority, I do
love
lose
pack
the will to live.
suicide starts looking real good, right? You're like, I can't deal with this another minute, but then you just leave.
What's the sporting goods store that also has all the taxidermy? Is that like Dick's Sporting Goods?
Or what, Cabela's?
Cabela's, yeah. If you find me in a Cabela's, just get me out of there. I'm not in a good place.
You're literally not in a good place. You're in a Cabela's.
I'm in a Cabela's. I'm not in a good place physically. I'm not in a good place mentally.
Wrap Samantha in one of those tinfoil blankets and walk her outside. Maybe put a Capri Sun, start squeezing it into her mouth to get that blood sugar back up.
Yeah,
it's a cry for help.
It is. So they bought sweatsuits, athletic socks, and 80 pounds of strap-on exercise weights.
Which is not that much, really.
No, but it is a little odd.
It's a little odd.
Curiously, the salesman reported that Adam was disturbed by the total of the bill, which to the police meant that, like, they weren't suicidal because they were concerned about saving money. This guy just seems like the type. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but if he was that mad about someone, like, denting his car, I guess I'm not surprised that he was, like, snippy with the salesman about how much 80 pounds of strap-on exercise weights cost. He seems like a cheap ass dick.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're totally right.
He was willing to stab someone through the heart because they damaged his car. Like, okay. This is not surprising to me.
He doesn't have a good he's not good at keeping things like in perspective at all. So yeah. Some Chicago paper recently ran. Somehow this was considered newsworthy that this like suburban boomer guy went to a Chipotle and it was like slightly more expensive than the last time he went to a Chipotle, and so he just turned around and walked out. Somehow that was like a news story. Anyway,
it had to have been like 20 cents. Like, it's not like the price of a burrito has gone up that much.
No, he's like, I go here like 4 times a year. Oh, I can't believe these price increases. And yeah, everybody in the comments was like, it's gone up 20 cents. Like, what is this guy's problem and why is this news? But
there is just a stab that Chipotle working through the heart.
But there is just a sort of person that's just like perpetually angry about things that do not matter.
Yeah. And Adam seems like the type.
Yes, he's just mad about things that he's buying costing money, and you're kind of like, yeah, that's how that works. I hate capitalism too. I'm sorry.
Also, it's not like you're buying 80 pounds of exercise weights.
Oh my god. A friend of mine used to work at a coffee shop, and this is the same person, if you remember the There's No Water and Ice story. Same person. But someone like once picked up a Rice Krispie treat or something and asked how much it was, and when she told them, they threw it at her head.
What?
Yes.
Like, she sets the prices?
Yeah, like she gives a fuck. But apparently the price was deemed unacceptable, and yeah, they just threw it at her.
What is wrong with people?
So that's the type
you want to tell that person off, but you also don't want them to come over the counter and stab you through the heart.
Exactly. People are on edge.
Yes.
We are not okay as a nation.
No. There's something
even
wrong.
Before that was, like a decade before COVID, much less now.
Oh my god. So an hour later at 4:45 p.m., Adam and Elena pulled up to the Newport Bridge. The previous hour, they had been observed calmly dining at a fast food restaurant, which also seemed out of character for a couple bent on suicide. I'm hungry. I don't know.
I'm not having my last meal at a fast food restaurant, though. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe. Which fast food restaurant?
What fast food restaurant would you choose if you had to for your last meal?
I'm going with fried chicken.
I was just about to say Fried chicken would be probably my
That's
pick too.
actually fine for a last meal. But if
Yeah.
I'm not eating like motherfucking Burger King for my last meal.
You're not getting McNugs.
No, not for a
Chicken
last meal.
not
No.
chicken McNuggets. You're gonna go through the drive-through.
And then find out they don't have honey and then be sad when I have stupid barbecue sauce. No, that's not how I'm spending my last meal on earth.
Oh, it's tragic
Absolutely.
when they offer you honey mustard.
They're like, we have honey mustard, and then you want to go, well, that's a completely different thing. But you
Just-
don't because you're a sensible person and you know that they don't stock condiments. And so you go, oh, no thanks.
I guess I'll have barbecue sauce instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend my last night on earth that way. Not if I know I'm going out. No.
That's true. So at 4:50 p.m., eyewitnesses recall seeing the Emorys on the walkway of the bridge. By 5:15, Adam and Elena had driven away. 2 hours later, their car was found back on the Newport Bridge. Apparently, the Emorys had returned to the bridge, but what happened to them is still a mystery.
Because some bridge supervisor is not doing their job.
Look, obviously we need 2 bridge supervisors.
Yeah.
One to supervise the bridge, one to
supervise the supervisor. He needs a manager. That's what we're learning. Yeah,
we need middle management on that bridge. So
bad bridge management.
I need to see this bridge's org chart. We got some work to do. All right, the search for the bodies of Adam and Elena Emory was one of the most extensive in the history of Rhode Island. In the end, not a single scrap of evidence was recovered from the bay. So we see parts of this search unfold. They have like dogs on the water, like hanging over the side of boats to like try and sniff out the bodies. It's very
I've never seen that before. Yeah.
Detective Hopkins recalls a taped conversation that Adam and Elena were having in the courtroom following Adam's guilty verdict. So we see this. There's like, because this was like a really like salacious case in the media, there were all of these reporters outside the courtroom after the verdict had been handed down, and there's footage of Adam and Elena having a conversation, and we can't hear what they say, but you can clearly see them talking to each other. He decided to take that tape to someone who was hearing impaired and someone who was skilled in reading lips, and he asked her if she could interpret what Elena says. And I will say that like I know nothing about reading lips. It's a very clear video. It's not blurry whatsoever. You just can't hear anything. She is like turned to the side. I would be really interested like to hear like if that makes it harder to read someone's lips. The woman that he had watched the video says that she was able to get a very clear like she was able to clearly see it. And she says that Elena told Adam, quote, "We're gonna do what we originally said. You promised me." So it seems like they had a plan. But that doesn't really shed any light on what the plan was, because it could have been a desperate suicide pact, or it could have been a scheme to fool the authorities and run away. Like, we don't know what the plan was.
This guy either got dared into murder and then dared into suicide, or dared into a life on the run.
Right.
On the lam, you might say.
Months after the Emorys disappeared, a fisherman working in the bay found 2 human leg bones in his net. That's a weird day. Clinging to one was a fragment of a sock that was identical to the socks purchased by Adam and Elena. Authorities compared the DNA sample from the bone with DNA samples of both Elena's mother and sister, and it was a match. So it does seem like they found Elena's bone.
Ugh.
They did look at the other leg bone, and they thought that maybe it belonged to Adam, but it was shorter than what you would expect based on his height. So I think that was inconclusive. We are told that a few weeks later, Detective Hopkins responded to a call from the harbor where another piece of grim evidence was discovered. This was a skull. And it had been found in the east passage of the bay, and it was positively identified as that of Elena Emory. So Elena most certainly had jumped off the bridge to her death, but to date, there's been no trace of Adam. Now, it could have just washed away, but it does leave a lot of questions open. Like,
I really don't.
Like
I really don't know.
Could he have tricked Elena into like, I don't know. But There is no update. I looked on Unsolved wiki, and there's been no update. I kind of think that they both jumped to their death, but I don't know. It's interesting.
It's a very mysterious one. There's twists and turns, and yeah, you don't get a very satisfying conclusion because it's probably more likely that they both jumped, but maybe not. Maybe he pushed her, or maybe he
Right.
said he was gonna jump and she jumped and he just walked away. As you don't really know.
He was declared legally dead in 2004, but the FBI placed him back on their wanted list in 2010. So do they have some evidence that he could have still been alive?
Or they want to catch his zombie.
Yeah, I don't know why he was declared
He's
legally
declared
dead. They must have had some reason to put him back on the list. I don't know.
That's very strange.
We don't know what it is. So
okay,
that one was wild. I don't.
We have another. This one is also weird and depressing, and I don't know what to think about this one either. It's another
heavy on the depressing.
Yeah. I was watching this last night and was telling Mac what it was about, and then he was like, "Well, good luck making your little comedy show. That's depressing as hell."
There's also only 3 mysteries in this one, and this one is so long.
It's very long.
So buckle up.
This takes place in Lockhart, Texas, back in December 27th, 1993. Jack White, not the famous musician, arrives at his daughter's house in a panic. Patricia White, a 38-year-old nurse, had not been seen in the past 24 hours. She had not arrived at work or called in, which was extremely unlike her. Her father entered her house and found her dead in her bed, and I just feel so terrible for him. It's very, very sad. She had been shot 6 times in the head with a .22 caliber weapon. She left behind 2 children. I'm under the impression they were not in the house at the time. Okay, so there were no signs of struggle in the house. Her live-in boyfriend was also missing. Lee Walker Hagen Jr., known as Dub. Yep. Lee Walker Hagen Jr.
How do you get the name Dub?
I don't know. He worked as a trucker. Also missing was his 9-year-old son, Chance.
I don't know why that makes more sense, but it seems like a trucker name. It just does.
Something about Hagen Jr. is very funny to me, but I don't know why. Okay, so his son, Chance, was 9 years old. He'd been visiting for the Christmas holidays. His mother had custody most of the time. So, I see, this changes throughout the segment, but what I wrote down in my notes is Sheriff wonders if Dub is also a victim because apparently he was born yesterday. But you know what? The thing thickens. 3 days later, they found Dub's pickup truck abandoned in Austin, Texas, which is about 30 miles away. In the cab of the truck was an unfired hunting rifle, his checkbook, and his wallet. In the back were tools and Christmas presents, all sprayed with blood. They did not have DNA testing, but this was not Patricia's blood type, and in fact, 2 blood types were found. So we hear from both families. Patricia's family naturally thinks Dub is guilty. Dub's family naturally thinks he's innocent. At the time of the murder, they had been living together for 6 months. He was a jealous and suspicious man by nature. We get a reenactment of some of their fights. Dub's ex-wife, who's Chance's mom, says that she left him because she was scared to death of his temper. So, yeah. We get a longer reenactment of a fight they had right before the murder, which had something to do with Chance staying with them and maybe like his behavior in the house. I did name the mustache on the actor who plays Dub in the reenactment worse than murder. Okay. I hate that mustache. It's terrible.
It's kind of grimy.
It's very grimy. It has it's almost like a bat shape, like an emaciated bat. Emaciated bat. It has really
That's what you want stuck to your face.
It has very what's the word I'm looking for? Like very straight vertical sides. But then it's kind of wispy in the I don't know. I hate it. Okay, so anyway. They had this big fight a few days before the murder. However, they were also seen the night before she died having a friendly meal at a restaurant. So I don't know. We hear from Dub's dad, who says that it can't be him because he's scared of blood.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not really evidence of anything. Patricia's family is like convinced that Dub's family is helping him, like be on the run and give them money, and they're like, no, not only are we not doing that, he's not capable of murder. So, okay. We also hear that Chance's maternal grandfather got a phone call about 5 months later from a child yelling, help me, before the phone was slammed down. Was this Chance or was it a horrible hoax?
That'd be who would do something like
Yeah. The thing is,
that's not a joke.
people now think that that's a hoax.
Oh.
So someone out there was willing to do that, and I hope you go straight to hell.
This whole story is bizarre.
Yeah. Please fall in a well and never get out if you were the person that did that phone hoax. Okay. So most of the segment is Dove's family wanting you to believe them that their son is not a murderer and that they haven't heard from him. When I first watched this, I was like, well, obviously it's the abusive, angry boyfriend who suddenly went missing. But this is unresolved. Sadly, also, Dub's father committed suicide in 1999.
Oh my god.
After learning that he had cancer. So that man that you see a lot in the segment is now dead. For years, authorities believed that Dub and Chance had fled to Mexico shortly after Patricia's murder, but their whereabouts were unknown. In spring 2006, authorities reinvestigating the case found evidence that Dub and Chance had also met foul play. They no longer believed that Dub was responsible for Patricia's murder. It was believed that it was a crime of passion and that all three were murdered by someone closely associated with the family. The new person of interest in the case is Latricia's ex-husband. The two were involved in a custody battle prior to the murder. Dub and Chance's disappearances and Patricia's murder remain unsolved.
Ugh.
So the evidence that they're kind of obliquely referring to, what I could find out, is that the blood in the back of Dub's truck is from two different people who are related.
Mm.
So it seems like they were either killed in the truck or they were moved in the truck.
Sure.
And that maybe their bodies were moved to make it look like Dub had killed Patricia and nobody would look for this guy. And that nobody really thought about the custody battle because Dub was missing. If you want to read more about this, it is on the Unsolved Mysteries wiki. That led me to a blog called Lost and Found Blogs that did a more in-depth story about it, kind of focused on what happened to Chance, the 9-year-old son, and how the mom had really been hoping he was out there somewhere, but has had to accept that he's probably dead, and it's so fucking sad.
Ugh.
It's so intensely sad because, well, I mean, obviously, but also she had primary custody of Chance and he was just visiting for the holidays, and he had called his mom to say he was having such a good time and could he stay a few more days, and she said yes, and it just fucking haunts her.
I hate it.
I know. It's really, really sad. So, and I honestly don't know what to make of this. It does kind of, I was convinced Dub was guilty, and it does kind of sound like it might be this other abusive person from Patricia's past.
Ugh, what a bummer.
It's really, really sad. And then my last notice, if you like off-white cowboy hats, this segment is for you.
Wow, I love off-white cowboy hats.
Well, you'll love this super depressing murder story.
My favorite thing ever.
Well, that's the end of this episode. Glad to... Oh my god, those poor people. But it just, you see how this act of severe violence ruins multiple families. Dub's family is ruined, Patricia's family is ruined, Chance's family is I hate it. It just has this huge effect on everyone, obviously.
Ugh.
But yeah, it's unsolved. We don't really know what happened. We just know that Samantha loves off-white cowboy hats. Okay, so let's rate this really depressing episode.
Do it. So our first category is mysteriousness.
I have to say, thumbs couldn't be higher. First one is a little eerie with Elizabeth's story. Not the hummingbird part, but Elizabeth's connection to her mother was a little bit eerie. But the other one too, I honestly am not quite sure what I think of what happened. There is ambiguity there.
Yeah, I was pretty convinced that he must have jumped with his wife, but the fact that the FBI put him back on their most wanted list in 2010 really makes me think like they have reason to believe that he didn't die.
That he had
So,
like money hidden somewhere, or he just like
right.
went somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little hard for me to believe that. I don't think Dub had like a lot of financial resources. Um like they were saying like, oh, it would have been easy for him to get out of town because he was a trucker and he like knew other truckers, and that's believable, but it's been a long time at this point for
Yeah.
him to like. They were like, well, he ran off to Mexico, and I was like, maybe, but like no one's seen him this entire time. It's a little more believable to me that the other guy is still out there somewhere, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Very mysterious. Thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up. Reenactments? I'm gonna say thumbs up. Like the reenactments in the Adam Emery case were pretty good. Like the
Yeah.
car chase,
Yeah.
everything else. Like I think they were pretty decent.
If you want a reenactment of a guy seeing a stained glass hummingbird, man, oh man, there's only one place to go. This episode.
This episode has it all.
Yeah, thumbs up.
I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. Fashion?
I mean, cowboy hats.
Yeah, that's right. There was an off-white cowboy hat. There was that really tall mustache.
Several. I think everybody in the sheriff's department in Texas wears these like kind of large for, I don't know if it counts as a 10-gallon hat, but like kind of large for a cowboy hat with no like band. They're very weird to me. They look like a drawing of a cowboy hat that's somehow on a real person's head. Yeah, you get like a tiny bit of western wear. I don't know. It's sideways.
It's okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we saw a mustache so bad I called it worse than murder. So maybe maybe not. So let's just go sideways. I don't know.
Let's go with sideways. Robert Stack?
I barely remember him.
Yeah, I don't think anything stood out to me about his performance.
He got kind of overshadowed by these sad tales, and
there are some like he is in more episodes. I feel like they must his contract must have stated like he's not in all of these episodes. Like there's some where he's just at the beginning and then I don't think we see him again until the end.
I wonder if he gets edited out when they like
maybe
make the thing for Amazon, because I don't know. Maybe he's just like talking about commercial breaks and other things that are not relevant anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those episodes where I feel like he's not really in it
he's
that
like
much, other than his narration.
So I'm gonna say thumbs down for him.
Me too. All right, on our Robert Stack scale,
I mean, it's good.
I thought especially the Adam Emery case was really interesting and weird. Your first one I did like.
I think in terms of mysterious, you kind of can't get to like true crime cases that are more like who knows.
Right. So I'm gonna go with like a 3. I mean, we only get 3 mysteries. We get an unnecessary update at the end. Is it a 3 or is it a 3.5?
I'd say at least 3.5.
I think so too, just because I found the cases really interesting.
I think this is we've gotten a pretty solid start to season 7, and I feel like this is still going strong. I wish we hadn't had the unnecessary update. I wish they had thrown in like a stolen ruby or something, but otherwise, I don't really have any complaints. I mean, I wish these horrible things hadn't happened. Robert Stack, travel through time, prevent these crimes. That's the next step in these shows.
I agree.
It's not enough to tell us that true crimes have happened. Like, we know it's made us paranoid, whatever. Now we need people to travel through time and stop them. Get on it. Netflix, come on. I think that's the next level in entertainment.
I agree.
Okay, so that kind of brings us to the end, huh?
That's it.
This is where we recommend stuff. Shoot.
Do you have something to recommend?
Oh my god, I'm not prepared. Okay. I'm going to recommend a product, and this goes back to when I was working at a salon before the pandemic started. But this is a recommendation for anyone else that dyes their hair weird colors. If you dye your hair vibrantly, you probably know that doesn't last very long, cruelly, and also that you're supposed to like wash your hair in horrible freezing cold water to make it last the tiniest bit longer, and I refuse to do it because I don't
Yeah,
know.
does
Life.
anyone actually do that? I've never dyed my hair, but I can't imagine it
I
would be
think people
worth it.
do, and it's just life is too short. I refuse to be that miserable. But if you like a natural hair color like black or whatever, that's permanent. That lasts a little while. But if you want to dye your hair pink or something like that, it's only semi-permanent and it comes out a little bit each wash, and then you have to go do it again or like professionally or touch it up yourself. Which is a huge pain in the ass. So I am recommending a shampoo that I have found for whatever reason like barely fades the color at all. And it's extremely helpful if you have hair color that you don't want to touch up all the time, which is me because I am lazy. So this is from the company called Inner Sense Organic Beauty. And this I kind of hate this. It's not called a shampoo. It's called Pure Harmony Hair Bath. What?
Okay.
Whatever.
I kind of hate that too.
It's
But if
shampoo.
it works, it works.
I would never would have tried this if we didn't have it where I worked, but it's very effective. I have never used a shampoo for color treated hair that actually takes out like nothing. Like
Oh.
usually, particularly those first few washes, you take your hand back and it's like the color of you're like, oh, there's all my pink dye or whatever. It's all just washed out. This like takes out like none of it. It's kind of miraculous. Now a 10-ounce bottle costs $28, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
But it also costs a lot of money to keep dyeing your head. So I think actually it's worth it.
It's an investment, yeah.
Because it preserves it. You'll have to do it less often or go to the salon less often. It's certainly cheaper than that. And it's just less hassle. And I wouldn't recommend it if it didn't work. I think that it is worth it. I think it saves you money in the long run, but I also understand that's like a shit ton for shampoo. While I'm recommending this product, the Pure Harmony Hair Bath, I do not, under any circumstances, recommend their conditioner.
Okay, good to know.
Don't get that. You don't need a matching conditioner to this. Just get this to wash your hair, preserve your color, and then use whatever fucking conditioner you're already using. It's fine. Because at least for my hair type, that conditioner is so fucking thick. Like you might as well just like leave coconut oil on your hair.
Okay, not good.
Like it makes my hair look like dirtier. And it's also like we had like the big bottles of the salon with like the pump on top, and it was so thick it like wouldn't go through the straw. Like I don't even understand this. It like basically doesn't work.
That is bizarre.
I don't know why the shampoo is so good and the conditioner is so bad. But I would never use this conditioner. I have a bottle of it. I use it to shave my legs. I'm never putting it on my hair again as long as I live.
Good to know.
But the shampoo is kind of a miracle.
Okay.
And I do recommend it. Samantha doesn't need this product at all. She has naturally beautiful colored hair. So she can just live a life of beauty. But
that is one thing I've never had to worry about.
I feel like someone else listening to this podcast will be like, I dye my hair green, and that would be helpful. So this recommendation is for you, friend. And yeah, not for beautiful Samantha.
I'll use that horse shampoo that you can buy at Target.
Yeah, you'll have beautiful horse hair.
That's a really good recommendation. Honestly, I feel like I need a recommendation for shampoo. I'm not just going to go to the store and pick one. That's far too risky. I need someone to like tell me one is good. I don't know if I feel like other people are like that too.
I really, at least for my hair type, and obviously everybody's hair is different, this works so well. And if I ever like don't have weird colored hair, I wouldn't keep using it because of the price. But I think if you do invest in hair color, then you should probably get the shampoo to like keep it around longer. Because I had my hair salon dyed green in October, and it's still basically all in there. Like at this rate, it's gonna grow out before it's gone. And I bought like green stuff to retouch it, and I haven't used it yet. That's actually kind of weird. Okay. Nice. Anyway, that's my recommendation.
That's a great recommendation. So I have a recommendation that might be a little niche, but I was honestly
unlike expensive shampoo. Go on.
Well, I don't know, probably a lot of people listening to the show dye their hair, so that's a good recommendation. This, I was honestly struggling to come up with a recommendation, but I realized that I do want to endorse this company. I know we have listeners out there who are crafters because we have a Facebook group. I think it's you who want to see my craft or something. I don't know. Search on Facebook. You'll find our spin-off group
Perhaps it's
for crafting.
you,
Perhaps it's crafting.
crafty.
It might be perhaps it's crafting. Anyway, it's a great group. You should join it if you are perhaps it's you listener and you craft. So I know they're out there, and I want to tell you that if you're not already, you should label the things that you make, especially if you're giving them as gifts. But even if you're keeping them for yourself, we're all gonna die. This stuff is gonna end up in a thrift store. Someone is gonna want to know like who made this.
It's true. That's 100% true.
So you should be labeling your stuff. And I have always made handmade labels, but I hate my handwriting. I don't know. No matter what pen I use, even if it says it's like color fast and won't smudge in the wash, it always does. So I decided I was going to invest in some like customized labels.
Ooh.
And someone a quilter that I follow on YouTube recommended these labels from a company called Ever Emblem. I believe this is a Canadian company. I like them because one, they have a lot of different designs. They have a lot of different types of labels. So depending on what you're making, they have like the satin fold over labels. They also have ones that are really small. So if you make small things like I don't know, bowl cozies or maybe like a small crocheted item or something, you can get these little tiny labels. You can get bigger ones for like a blanket or a quilt. I've ordered twice from them actually. And I like that they have so many different types of labels and designs to choose from. Their website makes it really easy to customize your label. Like you just select the one you want, and then it has the fields that you can type into, like what you want it to say. And then in real time, it'll update the preview and show you what your label will look like. So I got some labels that have like my name on the front, like handmade by, then my name and like a little design. And then on the flip side, it has like washing instructions.
Oh, so cute.
And you can type those in. You don't actually have to like a lot of times when you're ordering custom labels, you have to like contact someone and tell them what you want, and they send you a mock-up, and that's fine. And I'm sure people get great results from that. But this I found extremely convenient. They also like you don't even need an account for it to like remember. Like I paid with PayPal and it remembered my checkout thing. I don't know, whatever. And so if I want to go in and reorder labels, like it's all in my little thing and I can just reorder them. I really like they seem high quality. I've sewed them into a few different things. Highly recommend.
I'm looking at this Bigfoot quilt you made me. Label-less.
I know I should have taken my own advice and labeled that. The problem that I have with that Bigfoot quilt is that I didn't finish it myself. I had it professionally finished. And I know you can still attach a label, but I was too afraid to like damage it by attaching a label to the quilted part of it. But I'm a little more advanced in my skill now and probably could attach a label.
What will people think when they come to my estate sale? Well, I guess I'll be buried in this, so I'll be buried with the quilt. I assumed people would be fighting over it when I was dead, and they would want to know, the provenance, but
yeah,
it'll actually be in my casket. So
I feel like I've come around on labeling. I haven't historically taken my own advice. I've labeled some things and labeled other things like that I didn't label. But there's been some like hashtag discourse in the quilting community lately about like quilting, like about people that make clothes out of antique quilts.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And there's been this huge uproar. Like someone posted a video. I mean, you could find it on Instagram if you. It's a whole thing. But one of the comments I saw when I was reading through the drama, because I love me some drama. I love reading the comments. Someone was like, I don't know, they had a take on it or whatever. But one thing that they said was like all of our shit is going to end up at a thrift store. Like, sorry about it. You have no control over what someone does with your shit after they get it from a thrift store. But they were like someone that was, I don't know, a collector of antique quilts. And they were basically like, label your shit. Like, people are going to want to know, like, what year was it made? Who made it? Who did you make it for? Like, put that stuff on a label and put it on your, because someday someone is gonna want to know. I feel like it's very similar to, we talk about our favorite graveyard historian, Sue.
Yeah.
saying that you need a marker. You need to leave behind a marker. Like, even if you don't really particularly care how you're buried or cremated or whatever, like, leave behind a marker, because someday your relative is going to do like a at-home DNA test and is going to want to find out, they're going to want to visit you and see, like, who you are or whatever. So I feel like it's very similar to that. So do as I say, not as I do, and label your stuff.
Well, I feel like, I mean, there's so much more we could say about this, and maybe we'll have to start a quilt podcast, but just textile work as being seen as women's work and historically undervalued. I think people are sort of feel like they're not supposed to label it. Like, you're almost like not supposed to take credit for all of your
Oh yeah,
design
100%.
and hard work and whatever. So fuck that. No.
I
You
saw
should get
this
credit for it.
tweet that was like, I feel like you had liked it, so you might know what I'm talking about. That might be why I saw it, but it was this tweet from someone who, like, and I had never heard this before, but it's this concept of like a selfish project. Like a
Yes.
project that you make to keep for yourself is selfish. Like, you're supposed to be giving away your hard work for free, and if you don't, it's selfish.
It's like an old fashioned phrase from back when like laundry took a whole day. But the idea of selfish sewing was when you finally eked out some time to make something that you personally wanted and was not for like your children or your husband. And
right, or
that
to give to someone as a gift
yeah,
for Christmas
yeah.
or whatever.
That it was for something just for you. And that almost like, instead of it being just part of your chores, that was selfish time. And that attitude in sewing still kind of like persists a little bit. So
yeah,
you are allowed to make something for yourself and take credit for it.
yes,
And put your name on it.
Put your name on it. Yes.
And then maybe it won't be just thrown in a dirty old box that says 25 cents on it at the thrift store. Who knows?
Someone's gonna make it into a fanny pack, which
I will. And
fine.
also,
I don't know, if you want to make if I die, you want to make my quilt into a fanny pack. Look, I would rather it be a fanny pack than be in a landfill.
I mean, I'm assuming most of those quilts are damaged in some way. Anyway,
yes, they are.
Like, unfortunately, things do get damaged. It's just funny that like people who don't know anything about art, and you'll see this on like American Pickers or something, they'll like find a piece of art and they'll be like, well, is it signed? And you're kind of like, bitch, anybody can just sign something. Like, that doesn't mean that it's valuable, but like people take that as a sign of value, that like an original painting, it's like, ooh, it's signed. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean they were like a great artist or a famous artist. But there clearly we put some value just on that, just on like it was worth signing.
Right.
Someone was proud of it.
Yeah.
So label your stuff.
Yes.
Samantha.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do. And labels.
Okay.
I am making an effort to be better about labeling, and this is one of the ways, because I can't be held back by my hatred of my own handwriting if I have something professionally made.
I think it's such a good idea. It's like a investment in your own work and your own self-confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everyone. We are going to close up the show now. We are going to tell you to follow all of our social medias. You should also download this new app called Repod, because I don't have anyone to talk to on there yet. It's just sitting on my phone. So come bug me. What else, Samantha?
You can give us $1 on Patreon if you can manage to find our Patreon despite its misspelling, and you will get instant access to over 40 bonus episodes. What are we talking about this month?
I don't know what we're talking about this month, but I'm low-key obsessed with our topic for last month, which was Dread the Unsolved. This
that
web
was
series
really fun.
where we talk about everything from like video games to creepy puppets. There's just like such a range of topics. It was very fun to do. So if you want to listen to that, go find $1 in a fountain. Hurry up.
Yeah. It's the best deal in town. There are other tiers too. If you want to, you've got some money burning a hole in your pocket, you can get a coloring sheet every month. You can get a special gift every quarter. Are the zines still available for purchase?
Why, yes, Samantha, they are. The new zine is finally going out, and we have a special at the moment if you want to get both of them for $22. So, and that includes US shipping. So go look at our website, perhapsitsyou.com, under merch. That has all of the buying details. And if you contributed to the zine or if you're in our top tier, that is in the mail headed your way right now. But otherwise, definitely buy a copy because you need those craft projects and playlists, and there's a spell in there. There's all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
Samantha has a list of 10 books you should read if you're a weirdo. There's all kinds of things.
You're gonna
Paper
wanna
dolls.
see it. Yeah.
It's
Yep.
pretty great. If you've had like a psychic dream about your biological mother, or really any kind of psychic dream, or any sort of paranormal experience, is your house haunted? Is there a demon that makes things darker than the darkness? You should send in your story to perhaps it's you podcast@gmail.com. And that might be everything.
I think that's everything we got to cover.
Oh, do Samantha a solid and subscribe, and also give us a 5-star
Slam that
review.
subscribe button. Give us a 5-star review. Take your mom's phone for 5 seconds and log into her Apple iTunes and
give us a review.
Review our podcast.
Also, my dad made like a fake version of Wordle that the only correct answers are perhaps it's you things. So if you want to play that, you have to be in the perhaps you have to be in our Facebook group, or I also tweeted it out on Twitter. So go find that if you play Wordle. It's very funny. Yeah.
Love it.
Okay, thanks everybody. Keep working.
Bye.